you so much. Right then, so I want to start talking about, being a musician. And, I really like this quote. I wish it was mine, but it's not. In the 60s, there were hundreds of people making millions of dollars. And now there's millions of people making hundreds of dollars. So, if you want to be if your whole point of being a musician is to buy a yacht, then, you're probably going to fail. But if you want to, work hard and do gigs, I think there's never been a better time, really, in many ways. So I want to talk about things that we can do today. Everyone can start doing these things today, and it will really help you out. So the first thing is, when you're practicing, it makes so much sense to treat practicing as if you're playing a gig. Now, lots of students I have, when I ask them how much they stand up when they're playing, a lot of people don't do that. And, of course, being a musician, you're making most of your money standing up. And the guitar feels so different when you're standing up. When you're sat down, you can have everything completely controlled. And, when you're stood up, it's swinging around and it's moving. And it's just something you need to get used to. One of the reasons I really like Strats is you've got this nice forearm cut and you can hold it against you, and there's a nice cut for your beer belly here. So everything feels very stable with a Strat. So practicing standing up is a great idea. And also, maybe have some pedals in front of you as if you're playing a gig, because it's another interesting thing, changing sounds on the fly. It's something you need to be used to. If you've got a chorus coming up and you need to make sure that you're changing the sound right on the beat, then that's another thing that you have to practice. Another great quote, which isn't mine: in order for people to feel strongly about your music, first you need to feel strongly. And, when it comes to pulling guitar faces and really showing people how much you're into stuff, I think that's very important as well. Just trying to look confident when you're on stage. A couple of years ago I did a clinic here all about tone and controlling the guitar and how the guitar feels, and that's all about confidence as well. Like when you play one note. Oh, my volume's off. Really digging in, hitting chords as hard as you can. And just trying to get across some authority when you're playing. Something that I've found very useful when it comes to everything I've discussed so far is a mirror. Playing in front of a mirror is a great idea. You can look at your technique while you're not doing this. Nobody wants to go to a gig and watch this guy. But the mirror, you can start having your face looking up, and you can get a feel for how that works and wean yourself away from looking at the guitar. Because guitar is a real feel instrument, and you need to know where you are. I'm trying hard not to look, because when you play a gig you want to be eyeballing people and seeing what's going on, having a good time. Okay. So that's sort of my first thing, standing up and playing as if it was a gig. I think another real important thing to being a pro musician as well is playing with real people. And this is another thing that I see a lot of students of mine who don't really play with other people. And it's just so much fun, if nothing else, to have a drummer and a friendly bass player, and just to make music. Here's another really good one. So if you're only friends with guitar players, you're only going to get the gigs that they don't want, But if you've got a bass player and a drummer on side, then the three of you can work together and you can help each other out. You know, if you need a bass player, then you can ask your friendly bass player. And, you know, that's a great way to get more gigs. And just jamming with people and making stuff up is good as well, because so much of being a rock guy is being able to make parts up. So if you're jamming along and you've got a bass player who's got, you know, a little groove, the ability to come up with something is huge. And that's just going to really help you out, having someone to bounce ideas off. Yeah. When it comes to jamming with people as well, you know, an important thing is looking after your hearing as well. If you're going to be a pro musician, you don't want to be deaf. I'm, you know, a little bit of tinnitus, and I'm just deaf enough to not hear when my wife wants me to do the washing up. But you've got to look after your ears, and playing with earplugs when you're playing with people is really important. Okay. Also, knowing that as a pro musician, you're going to be playing rhythm guitar 90% of the time, unless you're Joe Satriani and you get to widdly diddly all night. But you know, for most people, myself included, it's rhythm which is the main gig. So enjoying that is really important. Something I love doing is just playing rhythm guitar blues, and maybe like blurring the lines a little bit, maybe, you know, having a few little lead licks come through. Let me play the blues a little bit unaccompanied here. You know, rhythm playing, so it doesn't have to be this boring thing. I think when a lot of people think of playing rhythm, they think of, you know, maybe just playing just one chord, but it doesn't have to be that way. And blues is great for that. I love playing blues because you can really blur the lines between rhythm and lead playing, you know, a little bit down here. Always finding it, you know. Also, like stomping your foot when you're doing that and annoying anyone downstairs is good. Just trying to stay in time. Okay, so a couple of other just real quick, easy things before I play some more. So another perhaps obvious thing is being able to drive and owning a car. You know, we sort of live in an age these days where most money in music is made gigging. So if you can't drive and you're dependent on other people to get you from A to B, then that's not ideal. What else? Backing vocals. I'm not a very good singer, but if push comes to shove, I can have backing vocals in my back pocket if someone needs it. I tell you what, often that can be the difference between getting a gig or not. You know, if there's two guitar players and one guy has got the ability to harmonise, then often that is going to be the guy who gets the gig. I think just being a nice guy is important as well. You know, like I said earlier, so much of the industry these days is on the road, you know, playing shows. And let me tell you, no one wants to be on the bus with a guy who's horrible. That's just a nightmare. And again, if two guys are applying for the same gig, and one guy is like a virtuoso monster guitar player, but the other guy is a great player and he's a nice guy and the other guy isn't, then that is going to be a massive deciding factor. So just being polite and being able to crack a few jokes with your bandmates, that goes a long way too. Right then, I'm going to jam a little bit more, and then I'm going to talk about a few other things. So here we go.